Hi, you're listening to The Island of a Lost Pilot by Rajesh Bhatia, narrated by Deepak Agnihotri. Chapter 11. The Surprise. Rohan could not believe his eyes. The rain was still blinding, but not so much that he would confuse sea with land. He made a big circle and looked below very carefully. Yes, there was sea, and only sea everywhere. He lifted the plane up and out of the clouds. The sun shone on his head, with blue sky and ends of the horizon visible. He was lonely on this planet. He was sweating profusely and his heart was sinking. Below was the wild sea. Above was the silent sky. Nobody was there to help him. Where was he? How he had reached here? What was the error? He again looked at the instruments. Has the spark affected the readings of the dials? He will have to call George, but he had advised not to use the radio. Rohan was doubtful whether his cellular phone will catch the signal. He took out the mobile set and found it switched off. He cursed himself for not having charged it. He fumbled with the on button and the screen came to life. He waited for some time for the signal to appear. Nothing happened for 2 minutes. And then the phone went dead again. Rohan pondered over his situation. If the gauges are not working properly, if he can't use the radio, if the mobile phone is out of range, if there are no landmarks, if there is no one to guide him, how can he reach back home? A sudden thought came to his mind. Nature perhaps can help him. Birds would have helped him to reach the land, but in this weather all the birds would have gone back. How the birds and animals find their way? With the help of the sun, perhaps, or by sniffing. Sniffing was out of question. The sun was the answer, and he took it so long to realize it. What a fool he was! Was his brain not working properly? Anyways, the sun could help him to find his way back. Which way was the east, or the sun rose in Plaridel was the question, and he was not certain of it. He slept away from the window in his hostel. The sun didn't bother him in the morning, and he didn't bother which way the sun rose. He cursed himself. What the hell of a pilot he was! If he didn't know which way the sun rose, where he had lived for so many days. He closed his eyes for a few seconds and thought hard. Yes, he should go towards the east. He would be able to reach Philippines or any of the islands of Philippines. Once there, he would try to reach Plaridel. If not, he will try to land his aircraft. He looked towards the sun and his face darkened. The sun was directly above his head, as it was afternoon, and was there to remain for much more time. He will have to wait for many hours for the sun to move towards a concluding direction, so that he will be able to differentiate between an east and a west direction. He looked at his watch, 1:08 p.m. He thought of contacting George at the control tower through the radio set against his orders. Still, the situation could be handled if he reached back soon. When the lunch will be over, his hunt will be on. If he had gone towards the sea at 180 degrees, he was a maximum of 90 miles away from Plaridel. If he had found the right way now by contacting the control tower, he could reach back before 2 by increasing his speed. He should have done it before and had already lost precious minutes. I will say that I was lost in bad weather, he murmured and switched on the radio and put on the headphones. George put down his headphones as a call came to his mobile phone. "Hello?" he said into the phone. Mr. George, this is Abhinav, a friend of Rohan. We are worried about him. Have you got any arrival indication from him? He should have reached here by now. He should be here in a few minutes. I have not yet received any information from him. Have patience. He will be all right, said George in a low voice with a sideways glance at his assistant, Darwin, who was listening intently to the conversation. "What's the matter, sir? Anything serious?" he asked. Nothing serious," George replied and put on the headphone again. He didn't want to give any hint to his assistant and wanted to gain more and more time. As if all the odds were against Rohan, the radio also didn't respond. It was dead. There was no sound of any type. No faint sound, no whistling, no blubbering, no disturbance, as if it was totally disconnected and didn't exist. "Oh shit!" he cursed to himself. "What a bad day it is today. Everything is against me." This was his last and sure-shot hope to reach back home safely. And now, as this radio was not working, how he was going to make his return possible was the problem. However, he had not left circling the plane in a large circle, because firstly, here he was within 90 miles of Plaridel, and secondly, he was letting the time to pass so that sun would shift to west in a positive way and he will move towards east then. He didn't wish to wander any farther away from this place and started taking another circle. Hoping to find some response, he put on the headphone and tried to listen. "I will tell you the way," was the sound he had listened clearly, and he jumped happily, adjusting his headphone more firmly.
Is that George? Is that George?
"I'm lost completely." "Don't worry, I will tell you the way now onwards." Rohan was alarmed. He thought that the sound was coming through the headphone, but his sixth sense told that it was from behind, and he felt chilling sensation in his spine as he felt something moving behind him. He immediately turned his head, and to his surprise he found someone coming out of the heap of the tarpaulin which was placed in the fuselage. "You?" he exclaimed, as he now clearly saw the face of Chang, so as to recognize him. "Yes, my dear, it's me, your old friend," Chang said happily and sat in the single seat behind Rohan. "How you are on this plane, and why?" "I have not appeared from thin air. I was here all the time, hiding under the tarpaulin." "But why? Why have you done it? What is your intention?" Now Rohan was suspicious. Perhaps Chang wanted to take his revenge over the yesterday's defeat and wanted to harm him. But how at this place, and that too 7,000 feet up in the air? Coming hiding this way under a tarpaulin. There were other easier ways on the ground. Everything was so fishy that Rohan was unable to understand, but he felt slightly relieved that he was not at all alone. Though Chang was an enemy, but he was also in an equal danger. "You are taking me to Hong Kong. That is why I am here," Chang said in such a calm voice, and the demand appeared so small and casual, as if some old woman wanted to have a lift in a car up to the end of the street, or as if some blind man has requested a child to help him cross the road. "Are you mad? I am not taking you anywhere. I have lost the way, and the controls are also not working. If you can help me, it will be fine. Otherwise, I will myself try to reach back." Rohan was still circling his aircraft. "You are going to follow my orders now onwards. We have already wasted much time and fuel." Chang was speaking, gritting his teeth, and was full of malice like yesterday evening. "Have you forgotten the beating of yesterday? How can you be so silly to assume that you will overpower me so that I will follow your absurd orders?" "Yes, you are right there. But when you will have a look at my friend, you will cooperate with me." "Your friend?" What more surprises he had to see today. Was there someone else hidden under the tarpaulin? Rohan turned and looked searchingly towards the tail of the aircraft. "This is my friend," replied Chang proudly, and Rohan was looking into the barrel of one Chinese QSZ-92 pistol with laser pointer on the rail under the barrel. Any type of refusal or protest was out of question now. The sight of a gun barrel had made his heart to race. He controlled his heartbeat and after some time asked, How we are going to make for Hong Kong? You know, the controls are not functioning properly, and I have a very little flying experience. And after all, why such a risky and awkward way you have chosen to go there? This is a long story. I will tell you all. Let us have something to eat. I am very hungry. Had to catch my flight in a very short notice. He laughed, fumbled his bag he was carrying, and took out a large packet. But first thing first, Chang stopped in between. Your controls are all right. Only your radio has been put out of order by me. You must have noticed a spark some time back. Here is your directional plan for Hong Kong. He handed a strip of paper to him. In fact, George had put you straight route towards Hong Kong. Now you have to stick strictly to that route. Take the aircraft to an altitude of 10,000 feet and increase the speed near to 110 knots. Do it fast. We have to cover a distance of more than 650 miles. It will take about 5.5 hours to reach there. He looked at his watch, 1:21 p.m. Rohan obeyed to the orders. There was no option left to him. Things had changed suddenly. Surprises over surprises were in today's talk. So George was deeply involved in this. Only God knew what adventure ahead he had in store for him. To reach back was out of question now. The frontline owners will be furious. He will be expelled from the flight school. There will be some disciplinary action against him. His career was blown merely because of a bloody bet over the silly photographs of a cruise ship. He thought of his parents. They will be totally broken. He thought of his education loans on the family merely because of this training. He thought of his friends in India who will laugh at him. He thought of his relatives and neighbors who will be very pleased at his failure, that now he was not a pilot, but an ordinary human being like all of them, crawling like worms, going to factories, offices, workplaces with lunch boxes packed with them. The same monotonous routine every day, with a small salary package, unable to fight with the inflation. He thought of Shreya, who will be very disappointed. He thought of the sad face of his father, who had advised him many times not to indulge in any other activity other than his training in this foreign country. Another thought was haunting him. The aircraft had perhaps sufficient fuel to reach Hong Kong, but what was going to happen after that? Perhaps Chang will kill him after his motive was done. He was satisfied to think of his death, as he would not be there to face all of them. I have betrayed you all. I am good for nothing, he said to himself. He closed his eyes and could clearly see many crying faces mourning over his death. His crying mother, father, sister, Shreya, and other relatives. He could not bear these crying faces and opened his eyes. Tears came to his eyes. I am sorry for whatever I have done. He spoke to them who were not present. Such a brave man, and crying? Chang was not surprised. He understood Rohan's feelings, but was helpless. He had his own priorities, and being human was not his way of life. Here, have a sandwich. You also must be hungry. You should have your food, as you have to go a long way. Without a word, Rohan took the sandwich. His mind was racing. He had more than 5 hours. He had to think of some way to squeeze out of this trap. He needed strength, and for that he should not refuse the food. Yes, you are thinking right. You need the food for a fight, Chang said. He was a dangerous enemy, intelligent and powerful. Why don't you come in the co-pilot's seat and be comfortable? He invited Chang. No, dear, I'm okay where I am, 2 feet away from a powerful enemy, admitted Chang cheerfully.